as always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
I had to go with that Ravens Chiefs game last night.
So awesome.
About as good of a football game as you could ever watch. I did think it was weird that the Ravens were celebrating after they won that, like they had just won the Super Bowl. But it's hard to blame them. That was so awesome. That was great. Harbaugh going for it on 4th down in his own territory. I mean, that's the game, right? Which we've all seen it before. You play it smart, you punt, and in about 4 plays, Mahomes goes down and kicks a field goal, right? It's that easy. We've seen that before. So awesome play. Deciding to go for it there. Lamar Jackson getting it on the QB run, which everyone knew was coming. That game it had everything. That was awesome football game to watch. As a fan, that's why the NFL's so good right there. Awesome matchups.
How about, did you see the clip of Harbaugh? Hey, Lamar, you want to go for this?
Yeah, I saw it in real time. It showed him. Did they replay that? I thought he said.
He basically is like, hey, Lamar, you want to go for this? And Lamar Jackson's like, hell yeah. He's like, all right, let's go then. It was, but I think this is, there's a lot of analytics and the Ravens use a lot of it, right? But sometimes you just got to put your nuts on the table, man. And that was one of those situations where, and maybe the analytics, like maybe the charts say, hey, maybe the percentage say, hey, go for it. But
yeah, especially whenever you see who the other quarterback is.
Well, you factor that in, and dude, the Ravens, they had been gashing the Chiefs the entire second half running the football. Like, they weren't stopping them from getting a yard. I thought it was the only decision in my mind. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was cheering for the Chiefs. My allegiances lie with the Belldozer. How about the tight end screen to the Belldozer? That was sick. Good job, Andy Reid. But so I'm like, okay, I hope they get stuffed. Chiefs go down, kick a field goal and win. But still, it's cool to see moments like that. And it's not the playoffs, right? But didn't that win feel pretty big for Lamar Jackson? He was awesome in that game. Running the ball, the jump pass was sweet. Like he played great.
Yeah. No, he did. He looked good. I thought defensively the Ravens, whenever they needed to, came up with some big plays. Yeah, it was awesome. Who was the guy that that punched that ball out late? Oh gosh.
It was Owe.
Owe, yeah.
Yeah.
That was. I mean, you had to have a play, and he punches that thing out. How awesome was that?
Did he even punch it that hard though? Like when in the on the spectrum of punch outs,
no,
I feel that was like a 4. Like
he was kind of like out of position where he was. Anyways,
it's like he just swiped at it, and I don't. It's all. This sounds stupid, but it's almost like Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't see him, and like when you don't see someone, and they're like, "Hey, man," and they touch your arm, and you're like, "Oh, what?" Yeah. That's how it felt. Like he was just like surprised by it.
Yeah.
That may sound that probably sounded really stupid, but that's how it just seemed. It's like it didn't seem like a punch out that should have caused him to fumble.
No, I'm with you. Especially in that moment of a game,
Especially when your only thought is don't fumble, don't fumble, don't
right,
fumble.
Right. But altogether, unbelievable football game. That was awesome.
I'll say it now, and I think a lot of people will agree with me. Really hope those teams match up in the playoffs. They play fun games, man. And if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, got to be a little concerned about the defense, right? Just a little bit. Yeah. They look leaky once again. And can we move Chris Jones back inside, please? Ted.
You don't like him outside?
Well, let's just walk through the logic. This is how I'm thinking. Chris Jones, and like I've seen him play in person, right? Watched all kinds of his games. Like he's one of the best interior defensive linemen in all of football. That's why he got the massive contract, right? He is a disruptive force. His strength, his quickness, that combination it is nightmare fuel for an interior offensive lineman. Why on God's green earth would you take one of the elite players at his position and put him in a different spot? Why would you do that? It doesn't make, it's like he had a couple snaps where they kicked him in the interior last night and he just wrecked fools. And I'm sitting there going, just leave him there. Leave him there. He's been a dominant player in the interior of the defense line. Why are you trying to make him an edge guy? It makes no sense. It's like they ran the zone read, and Lamar's looking at Chris Jones like, I'm about to run around this dude. And he did. It's like, that's some things where it's like, coach, what are you doing? Like, I don't want to hear your reasoning. He was dominant at his position. You paid him $1 gajillion because he's so good at that position. Don't move him, please.
Yeah. Well, maybe I know that Andy Reid loves our podcast, so maybe he'll hear that moving back.
Right? I'm sure that will sway the Chiefs brass to move him back to the interior. All right, who do you have as your loser of the weekend?
I had to go with San Francisco. The 49ers lose all 3 running backs in their game against the Eagles. Still pull off a win, 17-11 against Philly, but they lose all 3 of their starters or rotational guys. Elijah Mitchell, Jermichael Hasty, and then Trey Sermon got a concussion. Pretty brutal.
And that's on top of Mostert already being hurt.
Right. Already being out. So they luckily had another guy that they had just brought in that they expected to only play special teams, Trenton Cannon. But this is one of the reasons you love the NFL. You show up, they've had a bunch of injuries. They probably worked him out on Monday, took 0 reps. And the next thing you know, you're toting the pill in a NFL football game out of nowhere. Pretty awesome for that kid, but not good for the 49ers moving forward.
Yeah. Trenton Cannon, Virginia State, 1 carry, -1 yard. But hey, you got that first carry, wet that beak, baby. No, what's going on with them in injuries, right? And the weird, okay, so the different thing about the NFL compared to college football is like, if you're having a bunch of college football injuries, like you look at the strength staff or the training staff and you say, okay, hey, what are we doing wrong here? But in the NFL, all these guys during the offseason, they're working out at different places. They all have their training facilities that they're going to, or their guy or whatever. And as a professional, you show up in shape. Like that's what you do. So it's not like they can look at their training staff or their strength and conditioning staff and be like, hey, you're the problem. Is it the way they're practicing? Like, it's really confusing because their season got derailed by injuries last year. And it looks like it's heading that direction again, man. Like, it's crazy.
All I would say is it's a run of bad luck. I mean, you look at yesterday, right. Mitchell had a shoulder, Hasty had an ankle, and Sermon had a concussion. Now, if everyone's pulling hamstrings or, if there's some type of common thread there, maybe you could say it's something that they're doing, but I honestly think it's probably just a run of bad luck. I feel like Green Bay had a run of bad luck injury-wise for like 5 years at one point, whether it was Rodgers or whoever it was that was constantly getting injured. They had guys out, but that sucks for the 49ers. Hopefully for them that these aren't all going to be long-lasting. It sounds like Elijah Mitchell's may have just been a stinger, which he'll probably be back next week, but not good. They'll be working out some running backs this week.
Yep. Start stretching. Any running backs on the street, start stretching. The 49ers need you. All right, how are you? How are you doing? Running out of steam?
Better.
Feeling good?
Feeling better, yes.
Let's see, all you had to do was podcast.
I don't know if you could see at the very beginning, but
you stopped sweating.
I was in a full sweat whenever we started for some reason. Wasn't hot, just was in a full sweat. I'm actually feel somewhat normal right now.
You are a trooper, sir. Okay, for my winner of the weekend, thought about going with our guy, Neal Brown. You know I love me some Neal Brown, Ted. They almost let a big lead disappear, but
Why are you
West
throwing the
Virginia.
screen deep in your own territory that late in the game? Just run the ball, Neal. Come on.
Yeah. Or, hey, veteran
Don't throw the
quarterback, when
interception.
there's a defensive lineman standing right in front of him, just throw it in the dirt and don't
Well,
give them the ball.
that was Green, right? That threw that one. Isn't he the young kid?
No, I think that they rode with Daggy for the most of the game. I
Oh,
don't know.
okay.
I thought it was no, it was Daggy for sure.
Okay.
He wouldn't have Green in that moment. But big win, even though it got a little tight. Big win for West Virginia against Virginia Tech, setting up a fun one in Norman this weekend. So I'm excited for that game. Remember, 2 teams didn't play last year. Both of them got canceled.
Been a
We
long
did
time.
we did multiple pregame shows that never aired. The lost tapes.
The 2 best pregame shows ever.
They were fantastic. I also thought about going with Chicago Bears fans, Ted. Andy Dalton tweaks the knee, gets a little banged up. Justin Fields goes in. The Bear fans are beyond ecstatic, and they get a win. Not a pretty one, but get a win over the Bengals.
You got to love it whenever you go down with a knee injury and the fans start cheering.
Yes. I was like, wow, Chicago. But it seems like it didn't seem too serious, so hopefully he's okay. But yeah, it looks like it'll be Justin Fields. I don't know.
It's like
I don't
the
know
perfect way. I wonder if it was like a fake deal where, hey, Andy, go out there and act like you hurt your knee. That way you can save face. You don't have to get benched for Fields. It'll just be the perfect transition.
The owner's like, hey, I will give you $1 million in Bitcoin if you just act like you hurt your knee. And he's like, deal.
Done.
But my winner of the weekend, and the best thing I saw in football all weekend, Fresno State quarterback Jake Haener. Now, normally, Ted, for winner of the weekend, when the NFL season has started, I use it to talk about the NFL. But what Jake Haener did in that game against UCLA, it was my only option here, because he goes to the Rose Bowl and Fresno State beats UCLA 40-37. And if you're watching the game, which you probably weren't because it was very late, but Jake Haener takes a huge shot to his hip in the fourth quarter. The guy could barely walk the last couple drives of the game, but he was slinging dimes left and right and fighting through the pain. It was unreal to watch. And it was so dramatic because UCLA scores, DTR takes them down the field. They score. They take the lead with 54 seconds left to go in the game. Jake Haener limps back out there, Fresno State's offense, and all he does is take Fresno State's offense 75 yards in 40 seconds to go and win the game. And he's slinging it. I mean, he's slinging it and then like doubling over after he does because his hips hurt so bad. And then he's like, looks like a 90-year-old man that needs a hip replacement, waddling to the line of scrimmage. And then he drops back and he's slinging it again. And there's probably something to be said about UCLA's, coverage strategy at this point in the game. But dude, they score a touchdown. He rips one at the pylon. They score a touchdown and they cut to him on the sideline and he's just crying. And I don't know if it was because he was happy or if he hurt because his hip hurt so damn bad, but it was so cool and exhilarating to watch. Now, I was on the Pac-12 network, so I'm not sure how many people actually saw it, but dude, it was like something out of a movie, Ted. It was awesome.
I was just watching it right there. I think it was the last touchdown whenever he falls down to his knees and
that was, they get the stop late to end it because there's only 15 seconds or so left in the game. When UCLA gets the ball back, they get a stop. They cut to him on the sideline. He just collapses onto his face onto the field. It was awesome. It was incredible.
That's great. I don't know. He's poor kid's probably hurting right now, but that's awesome. Yeah. So do you think he had like a hip pointer or something?
He got smacked. So one guy hits him up and kind of like lifts him up off the ground a little bit. And another guy drills him right in the hip, or right like that hip, like love handle area. And you could see the rest of the game, he's just like, oh my God. Oh God. But to his credit, I mean, just went out there and played through the pain and let it rip. It was like, if you haven't seen it, it was so good. Go find it. It was that good. It was the best thing I saw all weekend in football. It was phenomenal. It
It's
was
awesome.
phenomenal. But it also happened at like 1 a.m. So I don't know if that many people saw it. My wife and son were out of town, so I had nothing better to do. I was like, I'm just gonna watch this game. Okay,
Nice.
for my loser of the weekend, thought about going with the Dolphins. Oh boy. Miami Dolphins get beat 35-0 at home, and Tua Tagovailoa goes down with an injury, maybe insult to injury after the game. Saw Josh Allen's post-game comments. He basically was like, yeah, we didn't play very well offensively, and we still scored 35. I was like, oh boy. Oh boy. So they get that's not a fun weekend if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, but at least if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, here's something to comfort you. At least you're not a New York Jets fan, because the New York Jets are my loser of the weekend. Had their home opener. They're at MetLife, and the Patriots continue to absolutely own the New York Jets. Zach Wilson threw 4 interceptions, including 2 on his first 3 passes of the game. He looked confused. He was inaccurate. He was under pressure. Jets fans are already booing him, which I guess isn't that surprising. They are Jets fans, just classic. But on the other hand, on the other side, Mac Jones, who was picked several picks after Zach Wilson, looked solid for the Patriots, took care of the football, managed the game, did exactly what he needed to do, let Zach Wilson make all the mistakes. And then if you're a Jets fan, the Damian Harris run, I don't know how many times you're going to have to see that, but what did he break? 7, 8 tackles on his way to the end zone? That was unbelievable.
No, it was, and it pretty much summed up the entire football game, didn't it? Like,
Yes.
just that one play wrapped up into one.
And then on top of all of that, Sam Darnold looks good in a Panthers jersey.
He does, man. I'm telling you, it's Sam Darnold, which you saw some of the throws that he made whenever he was with the Jets that were amazing, and some of the different things that he did. But you surround him with some talent like he's got now, dude looks legit.
Yeah. Panthers 2-0. I told you they were going to roll the Saints. Just a bad setup for the Saints going into that game. But a rough day for the New York Jets and their fans. Man. Whew.
Van Noy, ghost again.
Did you see the Van Noy tweet? He was inactive. He was inactive for the game, and all he tweeted was ghosts again.
Oh,
it was so good. Former teammate. Awesome guy. But
so brutal.
Yeah. The Jets could be a long year. Rebuild still going on there.
I'll tell you what though, I was very critical of the Jets taking Zach Wilson. I would not have taken him with that pick. But I have seen some things, obviously not in this game, to where he shows some real potential.
He looked good in the opener.
Yeah, it's tough though, man. This league will chew you up and spit you out before you even have a chance to get rolling.
Was there an easier bet all weekend than Bill Belichick against a rookie quarterback?
Well, I guess what's that record against rookie quarter? It's something ridiculous, right?
I think it's a gajillion to know is my guess.
Yeah, that's always the play there. And Mac Jones looking solid.
Yep. Patriots are going to be good again. Dang it. That's your squad though, Ted. So I'm happy for you.
Yeah.